Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to play a tank that probably not many people are aware that it actually exists. Of course, it is the Churchill gun carrier, or the game carrier, as people used to call it back in the day. Now, this tank, 5-6 years ago, probably now, was a complete meme. Like, people would only ever play this tank because it was a meme tank. Then of course Wargaming shuffled everything around, moved it from the tech tree and put it as a collectible. So since they've removed it as a collectible, it's very rarely, if ever, been for sale ever since. So not many people have managed, not many newer players over the last few years have actually managed to be able to get this tank. So I'm going to play it for you. I'm going to tell you what it's like and if you're missing something. But first off, yes, you are missing something, because yes, it is a meme tank, but Wargaming buffed it years ago that made it so good. However, those of you that managed to get the Dreadnought from the battle passes, you're not missing too much. It's very similar, but we're not looking at the Dreadnought, we're looking at the gun carrier. So if you do have it and you want to sell it, you can sell it for just 500 gold. I've never sold it, and I'm never going to sell it, because I actually think it is an amazing tank. So the armor, 150 millimeters on your hull. Now that's actually really good, because once upon a time it had no armor whatsoever, literally no armor. But Wargaming buffed the front plate and or the frontal armor to 150 millimeters, so you can actually get a few bounces, especially if you are top tier. Your DPM, I think, is pretty solid as well for a tank destroyer of this caliber. 2,527. That is with me running the rammer, not calibrated shells, running the rammer just to up that DPM. The reload is just 5.9 seconds, basically 6 seconds. Your penetration, 214 on your AP and 246 on your APCR. I think 246 will get through just about anything in tier 7, which is why I run it with the rammer. 47 on your HE. You've got a 250 alpha gun, 210 on your APCR and 330 on your HE. Your aim time, very good at 2.7, and the gun dispersion also very good at 0.290, and you have a very nice 10 degrees of gun depression. However, your top speed is just 30 kilometers per hour. So yeah, it's a very slow tank, but it's definitely a meme tank, and if you don't have it, you are missing out. I'm not gonna lie, you are missing out on a fun tank to play, because nowadays it is fun. Back in the day, it wasn't so fun, because you rock up, even in tier 5, anybody would be able to penetrate you. However, with 150 millimeters of frontal armor and using the 10 degrees of gun depression, you can actually bounce quite a bit. And honestly, it made the tank. I was glad that Wargaming released the Dreadnought, because it just gives other people the opportunity to play a tank like this. The only thing I disagree with, and Wargaming have done it ever since sort of update 5.5, the odd occasion maybe, is, you know, they don't release them anymore. I know there was a reason why Wargaming took all these tech tree tanks and put them as collectibles. If you had the tank, you could keep the tank, but if you didn't have the tank, you'd never really be able to have the tank again, unless it randomly comes back for sale. Now, they've done that occasionally, literally occasionally. Now, it is a little bit different now, because obviously there are a lot of collectible tanks, but we're talking about the original collectible tanks, like the original tech tree tanks that got made into collectible tanks. We're not talking about the collectible tanks that are released as collectibles, or we're not talking about the premium tanks that have been made and turned into collectibles. How many times did I say collectibles? Let me know in the comments below. So yeah, we're talking about the original tech tree tanks, and that's one thing Wargaming don't sell, and it is a shame, because when they first turned these tanks into collectibles. How many times? Count. They said they're going to randomly sell a few, but yeah, that's something they've never done. I think they've done it occasionally, like 1 or 2 tanks. I think I vaguely remember them selling the T150, but other than that, it's very, very rare that you're able to buy these collectible tanks, especially the ones that used to be in the tech tree. And it is a shame because it just, you know, the new players can never play it. The new players, or not even the new players now, people that have been playing 4 or 5 years and never be able, or they're never able to play these kind of tanks. And it is such a shame because some of these tanks are actually amazing. Honestly, some of them are really, really good. And people can never play them. They're never going to have the opportunity to play these tanks. And it makes me sad because I think they should. I think they should be able to play them. Sell them randomly. Ignore that final shot there because that was my own fault. But yeah, it is a shame. It really is a shame. And I would love for Wargaming to randomly sell these tanks. Now, I know with the Battle Pass, they do add a tank at the start, which is a collectible tank, which we will, if we go to the Battle Pass, this week's one was the Covenanter. They normally have the Larks as well, the Panzer 4D. They have a few tanks around, but only sort of lower tier tanks. Yeah, it's a shame. It is a shame because, again, as I've said, some of these tanks are really, really good. Like the Russian heavies. Those of you know that the KV-2, when it was... Well, it's as a tech tree now, but what it used to be is you play the KV-1S in tier 6, and then you sort of move along to tier 7, which is the IS, and these tanks were sort of you had the KV-3 in tier 7, and then you had to play the T150 in tier 6 to be able to get the KV-3. And the KV-2 was a sort of it was off the T150, so you could grind the KV-2, but you couldn't get anything from the KV-2 like a tier 7. It was on its own, you know. It was like a spider. It went from the T150 down to the KV-2, but you couldn't grind the next tier, so it kind of stopped at the KV-2. To get the next tank, you had to play at the T150, where obviously Wargaming then removed the T150, put the KV-2 as a part of a normal tech tree, and I think it sucked, to be honest. I really do, because I absolutely love the T150, and if you're grinding up the KV-4, the sort of the ST, the IS-4 line, then the T150 was basically that tank. It was basically a KV, like a KV-3 in tier 6. It taught you how to play them tanks. It had the armor of them tanks, whereas the KV-2 has nothing really to do with them tanks. The KV-2 was a meme tank. So yeah, I don't like what Wargaming have done there, and it is a shame that they are not releasing any of these tanks. I get that they're bringing some, or they brought some tanks back as collectibles in with the Battle Pass, but you know, that's now stopped. That's now stopped, and it wasn't the direct tank, but it was a tank very similar to these kind of tanks, like the Dreadnought, for example. So yeah, it does suck that people more than likely hardly ever going to be able to get these tanks, and it is a shame because, again, there are some very, very good collectible tanks out there, and the gun carrier, the game carrier, is like no other. But not many people would know what this tank is. Not many people would have seen this tank in the battlefield. In fact, only 36 players have played this tank in the last 90 days. That is not a lot at all. So yeah, not many people would have seen it. A lot of people may know what it is, but yeah, you might have not have ever seen it in the battlefield. So yeah, it's a shame. It really is a shame. Where I talk about the armor, yeah, the armor hasn't gone very well for me the last couple of games. But yeah, if you can get yourself on a ridge and you can sort of angle, then you can actually get quite a bit of bounces. So if you do have it, take it out. You know, it deserves a bit of love. It hasn't been loved for so many years. So take the tank out, get a bit of, give it a bit of love, and you'll enjoy it because it is, as I've said, a very, very good tank. So yeah, that's about it. Just 2 tanks left alive. We're on 1,900 damage, and can I get a little bit more before the game ends? There's the M6. Can I push forward? Can I get the kill? No, I can't, but there is that Caro there. Hopefully he'll back up and allow me to get a little bit more damage. Keep coming, baby. Keep coming. Keep coming. Keep on coming. Let me just get one more shot. Come on, let me get one more shot. I'll be your friend for life. You're not my friend for life. Get wrecked. So yeah, let me know if you've got the gun carrier. It'll be interesting to know. And is it a tank you still regularly play? Are you one of them 36 people? Let me know in the comments below. But for now, I hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. I'm meadsy69, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye-bye.